Hi, I'm Rick Steves, back with more of the best of Europe. This time we're exploring the wonders of Paris. Magnificent and, thanks to Monsieur Eiffel, riveting. To me, Paris is the capital of Europe. It's the city I can return to more than any other, with grand monuments that need no introduction, and it hides a lifetime of cultural delights. Everything in this episode is within easy reach by foot or metro. We'll see some icons of this great city, the industrial age iron of the Eiffel Tower, and the medieval stonework of Notre-Dame. Then we'll see stark realism and dreamy impressionism in the Orsay Gallery. Escargot. We'll join a friend dining on French favorites. So you stab it? Yes. After lurking with bones in the catacombs, we'll see how the French Revolution helped create this grand city. The Seine River splits the city into the right bank and the left bank. Its two islands mark the center of the old town. Most of the essential sites lie near the Notre-Dame, between the Eiffel Tower, the Latin Quarter, and Montmartre, the city's highest point. The Eiffel Tower was built in 1889 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the French Revolution and to show off at a World's Fair. It was a muscular symbol of the industrial age. To a generation hooked on technology, it was the marvel of its day, trumpeting progress and man's ingenuity. This 900-foot tall tower has 3 observation levels. The higher you go, the more you pay. For me, the middle level is plenty high. Thousands of iron bars and millions of rivets, all assembled in just over 2 years. Today, it stands tall, an exclamation point symbolizing the proud, independent spirit of the French. The Trocadero Square across the river is the place to view the tower and to check out a colorful scene. Parisians own their city. In fact, twice a week, streets are closed and thousands turn out to roll through their city in an exuberant celebration of life. Paris was born centuries before Christ, right here on the Île de la Cité, an island in the middle of the Seine River. The Romans conquered the local fishing tribe and set up camp. Today, the Notre-Dame Cathedral marks the place where a Roman temple once stood. The city's first bishop, St. Denis, holds his head in his hands. When Christianity began making converts here, the pagan Romans beheaded him. But, according to legend, Denis just picked up his head and kept on going. Inspired by this miracle, Christianity flourished, and the temple was replaced by a church. Imagine the faith of the people who built this, breaking ground in 1163 on a building which wouldn't be finished for 200 years. Gothic architects incorporated the latest technology, flying buttresses, to support the heavy rooftop. Its ghoulish gargoyles multitask. They serve as fancy rainspouts and scare away the evil spirits. The church is dedicated to Our Lady, or Notre Dame. Mary cradles the baby Jesus. The rose window provides a majestic halo. The Virgin Mary was highly revered throughout the Middle Ages. The faithful petitioned her in times of trouble for both comfort and, through her intervention, God's mercy. As worshippers headed for Mass, they'd walk under a relief of Judgment Day. Christ sits on his throne, the trumpet sounds, all are judged: peasants, knights, nobles, royals, even bishops. An angel weighs cute little souls while cheating demons yank on the scales. The saved stand happily at Christ's right hand. The damned, a sorry chain gang, are on his left. Carvings like that, and like this scene of Eve tempting Adam with an apple, remind us that this art was more than decoration. These images reinforced the stories people learned in church. While the church is dedicated to Mary, the rest of Paris seems dedicated to regular Parisians. The old center, with its two islands in the middle of the Seine, retains a charming elegance. The Ile de la Cité is laden with historic sites, but the little Ile Saint-Louis, connected by a pedestrian bridge, is laden only with the delights of good living.
Arnaud.
Oh, Rick.
Ça va?
Ah, bien.
I'm rendezvousing with my Parisian friend and fellow tour guide, Arnaud Servignat.
Great island.
Yeah, this is the Ile Saint-Louis, Rick.
Ile
I
Saint-Louis.
love this place. You know, all around, it is really uniform architecture, everything dating from the 17th century. And the beautiful apartments, very expensive. It's the most expensive in town. And I wish I could have an apartment here if I could afford it.
This is very trendy to live here.
Oh my God, wonderful. And all along the street, you've got some galleries, quaint, you know, little boutiques and restaurants. And just down the street there's a place, Bertillon, where you have the best sorbets in Paris.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, the island is charming, but the whole city of Paris is charming. In fact, it faces the river Seine, and the river Seine has been called by Parisians the mirror of the city.
It's a great people zone.
Yeah, you know, people strolling,
Coming out.
wandering around,
Festivals
bicycle.
here?
Yes, indeed. On the Bastille Day, we have a big party here, big dancing organized,
Dancing,
and people dancing
okay.
all around the place.
And today it's just so relaxed. So what is the French word for these little stalls?
Bouquinistes, we call them. It comes from the name bouquin, which is Old French.
Okay. So old books in Old French.
Old books, yes. And they sell prints, you know.
And it goes back a long time?
Oh, back to the 1600s, yes, indeed. They were, you know, very wild vendors which were all along the river Seine like that, and they had to be regulated in the 19th century because they were so wild.
It's just a classic Parisian thing.
It has the, you know, kind of bohemian lifestyle.
I'm taking Arnaud to lunch. Against his advice, I'm eating all the Parisian cuisine cliches in one meal.
Santé.
This is the Kier, you know? It's a good civilized way to start a meal.
So it's an aperitif. Tell me about the aperitif.
Aperitif is to open your appetite.
Escargot.
Oh, Rick, look at that. It looks
very
fabulous.
nice. Yeah.
Merci. Soup à l'oignon.
So this is the first course.
Yes, this is the entree. And actually, you guys call the entree the main course when the entree is the starter in France.
That makes
Very
sense,
confusing.
actually.
Yes?
Okay, I have my escargot, and I just use this.
Alors, yes.
So you stab it,
Yes.
and
then
you twist it out.
spit
Oh, look at
comes
that.
out eventually. It's very chewy, you will see.
Oh, that's good.
It's good, huh? Garlic, parsley.
You know, a lot of tourists don't want the escargot, but
Yeah.
I love it. What is the history of the onion soup?
Ah, the onion soup is something you eat more in the wintertime. Because, you know, it was to warm up the employees of the central markets during the nighttime.
I eat the onion soup all the year.
I know, but you guys Americans are eating everything all year round.
Merci, I think.
This is actually the main course. Plat principal, we call it in French.
Plat principal.
Plat principal.
Okay, the principal plate.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Steak tartare.
Steak tartare, yes.
very
you know
famous.
what it is made of?
No.
It's fresh raw beef.
This is raw beef.
Raw beef, but very fresh. The spice comes from the Worcestershire sauce, the ketchup, the mustard, the Tabasco, salt, pepper, and the yolk of an egg. And then you just mix that all together with the beef.
You like it?
Yes, I love it.
You've introduced me to something new.
This one is so good.
I can't believe it. I'm eating raw beef and it tastes good.
It is good, huh?
Wow, especially with some red wine.
So we are, you know, having now the cheese course, which is very important. You don't end up a meal without some cheese. And basically, you know, you order cheese to finish the wine, and then you order more wine to finish the cheese.
It's a nice cycle.
Oh, it's a vicious circle.
Vicious cycle.
This is dessert time, Rick. You're having crème brûlée, and I have a fondant au chocolat. This is sacred, you know, for lunchtime, to stop for at least an hour. We don't work. Look at these people, they've been here forever. Yes, it's sacred. Enjoy.
Okay. So the coffee always comes after all of the food?
After the dessert, always.
What if you ask for your coffee with the meal?
They would say, yes, sure, but it would come after the meal. They don't want to be rude.
Okay. What a meal.
No, excellent, wasn't it?
I'm heading for the Orsay Gallery.
Oh, go ahead. I'm finishing with my cognac.
Au revoir.
Bye-bye, Rick.
Getting around Paris is easy on the metro. The original stations were Art Nouveau. This new one celebrates the system's 100th birthday. And the latest generation shows Europe's commitment to ever more efficient public transit. The train is completely automated, allowing passengers to watch the tunnel coming at them. Faster than a taxi can take us, we hurtle beneath the city to our next stop. The Orsay Gallery, famous for its much-loved collection of Impressionist masterpieces, fills an old train station. The building itself is magnificent. Train tracks used to go right down the middle.
The art of the Orsay takes you from 1848 to 1914. This is the time when the old world meets the modern world. It's conservative and revolutionary side by side.
Before the Impressionists, 19th century artists painted idealized beauty. This was conservative art, popular throughout the 1800s because it was simply beautiful. Cabanel's Birth of Venus is the quintessence of beauty. The love queen reclines seductively, just born from the foam of a wave. At the time, sex was considered dirty and could be exalted only in a more pure and divine form. But while mainstream artists cranked out these ideal beauties, a revolutionary new breed of artist was painting a harsher reality. Cross the tracks and you find the realists. In The Painter's Studio, Gustave Courbet takes us behind the scene at the painting of a goddess. The model, not a goddess but a real woman, takes a break from posing to watch Courbet at work. Ordinary people mill about. The little boy seems to admire the artist, already notorious for his nonconformity.
No one would show Courbet's work, so he put on his own art show. He built a little shack in the center of town and hung his paintings, basically thumbing his nose at the shocked public and his conservative critics.
Edward Manet rubbed realism in the public's face, and they hated it. Manet's nude doesn't gloss over anything. The pose is classic, but the sharp outlines and harsh colors are new and shocking. Her hand is a clamp, her stare defiant. Ignoring the flowers her servant brings from her last customer, this prostitute looks out as if to say, "Next." It's around 1880, and Manet and his rat pack of conservatively dressed radicals gathered in Paris, pushing the creative envelope. It's time for the revolution of Impressionism to begin. Impressionism initiated the greatest change in art since the Renaissance. Now artists were free to delve into the world of colors, light, and fleeting impressions. They featured easygoing open-air scenes, candid spontaneity, and always the play of light. Impressionists made their canvases shimmer by an innovative technique. Rather than mixing colors together on a palette, they applied the colors in dabs side by side on the canvas and let these mix as they traveled to your eye. Up close, it doesn't work, but move back and voila! Claude Monet is called the father of Impressionism. For him, the physical subject was now only the rack upon which to hang the light, shadows, and colors. Auguste Renoir caught Parisians living and loving in the afternoon sun. Dappled light was his specialty. In this painting, you can almost feel the sun's warmth and smell the powder on the women's faces. Even the shadows are caught up in the mood. Everything's dancing. Renoir paints a waltzing blur to capture not the physical details, but the intangible charm of a restaurant on Paris's Montmartre. Montmartre, a Parisian hill crowned by the dramatic Neo-Byzantine Sacré Cœur church, was famous for the ambience captured by the Impressionists. A block away, the Place du Terre is jumbled with artists and tourists. If you really try, you can almost imagine Renoir, Van Gogh, and Picasso, who came here a century ago, poor, carefree, and seeking inspiration. Back then, life here on Montmartre was a working-class commotion of cafes, bistros, and dance halls. Painters came here for the low rent and ready joie de vivre. To get away from all the tourists, simply walk the back streets, where a bit of Montmartre's village charm survives. Ah, the steps of Sacré Cœur. This is a place where locals and travelers alike congregate to marvel at Paris or each other. From here, the City of Light fans out at your feet. Your Parisian experience is a blend of great museums, fine food, and characteristic neighborhoods. The Latin Quarter is the core of the left bank, as the south side of the Seine River is known. This has long been the city's university district. In fact, the University of Paris, a leading university in medieval Europe, was founded here in the 13th century.
Back then, the vernacular languages, like French and German, were crude, good enough to handle your basic needs. But for higher learning, academics, like this guy, spoke and corresponded in Latin. Until the 1800s, from Sicily to Sweden, Latin was the language of Europe's educated elite. And Parisians called this university district the Latin Quarter because that's the language they heard on the streets.
Today, any remnant of that Latin is buried by a touristy tabbouleh of ethnic restaurants. Still, it remains a great place to get a feel for the tangled city before the narrow lanes were replaced by wide modern boulevards in the 19th century. The scholarly and artsy people of this quarter brewed up a new age, Paris's café scene. By the time of the Revolution, the city's countless cafes were the haunt of politicians and philosophers who plotted a better future as they sipped their coffee. And the Café Society really took off in the early 1900s as the world's literary and artistic avant-garde converged on Paris. In now famous cafes along Boulevard Saint-Germain and Boulevard Saint-Michel, free thinkers like Hemingway, Lenin, and Jean-Paul Sartre enjoyed the creative freedom these hangouts engendered.
With its cafe and university scene, Paris had long been a launch pad for bold new ideas. In the 18th century, groundbreaking political and social thinking by French philosophers like Voltaire and Rousseau ushered in the Age of Enlightenment. Later, this Enlightenment provided the French Revolution with a philosophical basis, and it gave the American Constitution many of its basic principles.
Paris honors its intellectual and cultural heroes with tombs and memorials in its neoclassical Pantheon. It looks like an ancient temple, but it's only about 250 years old, from the time of the Enlightenment.
During the Enlightenment and the Age of Revolution which followed, everything was subjected to what was called the test of reason. If it wasn't logical, it was tossed out. Nothing was sacred. The very notion of royalty was challenged, and churches were turned into temples of reason.
Even the use of city land for cemeteries, as you learn at the catacombs of Paris, was rejected. The sign reads, "Halt. This is the Empire of Death." It kicks off a 1-mile hike you won't soon forget. The anonymous bones of 6 million permanent Parisians line former limestone quarries deep under the streets. In 1785, Paris decided to make its congested city more spacious and sanitary by emptying the cemeteries, which traditionally surrounded churches, into this labyrinthine ossuary. For decades, priests led ceremonial processions of black-veiled, bone-laden carts into the quarries, where the bones were carefully and artistically stacked as much as 80 feet deep. Each transfer was finished with a plaque identifying from which church the bones came and the date they arrived. While there is history in dem bones, the Carnavalet Museum, filling a lavish old aristocratic mansion, is the best place to sort through the story of Paris.
Pre-revolutionary France had a government by, for, and of the wealthy. And as the rich got richer and richer, people who lived in fabulous mansions like this became blind to the growing gap between the haves and have-nots in their country.
Louis XIV, aka the Sun King, was the ultimate king back when people accepted the notion that a few were born to rule and be rich, while most were born to be ruled and taken advantage of. Room after room shows the opulence of the upper classes in the age leading up to the Revolution. Louis XIV, who enjoyed the luxury but anticipated trouble, said, "Après moi, le déluge." After me, the flood. The heart of the museum features that deluge, which hit when this man, Louis XVI, was king. The French Revolution was kicked off with the storming of the Bastille prison. Supporting the angry masses, the liberal wing of the government took matters into its own hands, declaring it wouldn't quit until the people had a constitution. It was Vive la Nation, Liberté, Égalité, and Fraternité, until the people literally beheaded the king and queen.
The Place de la Révolution, or Revolution Square. It was here that the newfangled guillotine, considered a humane form of execution in its day, was set up. And it was here that Marie Antoinette, Louis XVI, and over 2,000 others were made a foot shorter at the top.
According to this painting, it took 3 to run the guillotine, 1 to manage the blade, 1 to catch the blood, and 1 to hold the head, in this case of Marie Antoinette, up to the crowd. Today, Paris's vast Revolution Square is called Place de la Concorde, Place of Harmony. The guillotine is long gone, and its centerpiece is an Egyptian obelisk.
The king and queen were beheaded by a stark and egalitarian government. But the French love of fine living couldn't be kept down. The 19th century was a boom time for Paris. The entire city was beautified with grand new boulevards and fancy architecture. It was an exuberant age of money. If you had it, you flaunted it.
From the Place de la Concorde, the Champs-Élysées, once a royal carriageway, now Europe's grandest boulevard, leads to the Arc de Triomphe. The arch was dedicated to the victory of the people and their republic, the triumph of French nationalism. A glimpse of the decadence of Paris's beautiful age, or Belle Epoque, is enjoyed along the Champs-Élysées. Paris's old opera house, the grand palace of this Gilded Age, was finished in 1875. The real show was before and after, when the elite of Paris, out to see and be seen, strutted their elegant stuff in the extravagant lobbies. Think of the grand marble stairway as a theater itself, filled with Paris's beautiful people. The actual theater is a palace of plush and ornate seating. Above it all, a delightful ceiling, painted by Marc Chagall in the 1960s, frolics around an 8-ton chandelier. Nearby, the Jacquemart-André Museum fills a 19th century mansion offering the public a rare aristocratic open house. Edouard André and his wife, Nellie Jacquemart, spent their lives and fortune designing, building, and decorating this incredible mansion. I'm enjoying a tour by one of the museum's fine guides, Chiara.
Because, you know, they had no children, they had a lot of money, and they used to travel a lot, and then they bring many souvenirs.
So these were souvenirs from their
Exactly, for example.
What is this?
That's the music room.
You can almost imagine the clatter of jewelry mixing with the chamber music as Edouard and Nellie threw a party.
This is the Italian.
Exactly, because they travel in Italy and they love Italian art. And they brought paintings of Bellini, Botticelli, Mantegna, Carpaccio.
And Tiepolo, whose fresco graces the mansion's lobby.
And this is the bedroom.
Okay, so the Monsieur and Madame lived here.
Yes, but this was the room of Madame, chambre of Madame.
Oh, they had 2 different bedrooms.
Exactly. That's Nellie Jacquemart.
And this was Edouard's bedroom, complete with a deluxe bathroom. For more of the decadence of that age, check out the ritzy shops. It's ritzy in the true sense, since they cluster around the original Ritz Hotel. Enjoy the luxury of this neighborhood by window shopping, or as the French say, faire du lèche vitrine, window licking. Actually, today's Paris thrives with ordinary people. The good life feels accessible to all. And in the spirit of France's revolution, the government truly seems to work for the people. While the stunning Georges Pompidou Center holds one of the world's top modern art collections, most Parisians are happy just to hang out in front. And apart from all its world-class attractions, millions of people call this city simply home. Neighborhoods enjoy first-class public transit. And if a train line's decommissioned, it's put to good use with its arches housing colorful shops and the elevated track made into a long, skinny park. The Promenade Plantée is popular for jogging or strolling, or just a peaceful break from the city. There's a time-honored finesse to Parisian life, a comfortable rhythm with kisses on the cheek, neighborhood street markets, and familiar faces at the corner cafe.
Whether you visit for its blockbuster monuments, its captivating history, or the simple delights of a cafe, Paris just might steal your heart. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rick Steves. Until next time, keep on traveling. Au revoir. Wow! How do you like the onion soup?
Ah, I love it. You know, with layers of cheese on top, it's wonderful.
Oh, come on, tell me the honest truth.
I just don't like it.
You want to buy it? You want to buy it?